here's my secret sauce, Lauren. We pay our Filipinos as much as we can instead of as little as we can.
Kudos to you for that, because I hear some numbers out there that don't make sense. Good gracious. I hope that these folks are making a living.
I will tell you this. I'll give you the exact numbers. And this is me pulling back the curtain transparently of how I operate. The average Filipino makes less than $1 an hour. And the reason we stick to the Philippines, people go, why the Philippines? Their culture has been primed to work with the United States culture for decades. These are individuals who are truly culturally American, and they have arguably better English. The average Filipino works for a company like mine will make $1 to $3 an hour. We start our employees at $7 and go all the way to $10. And our charge is only $12 to our client. So most of the time you'll see, get the VA for $8. Yeah, but they're paying them $1. We run a 20% margin. 20% is enough to weather a bad storm. It's enough for me to make our margins to be profitable, to pay my American team what they need, as well as my Filipino leadership team. But at the end of the day, I want those Filipinos who are working for my medical clients to be making so much money that they're never going to leave, and they show up like it's changing their lives. Another reason I think we've had so much success is because we just pay more. After a year, all of our Filipinos get money to cover their healthcare and retirement. I'm building a movement in the Philippines, and for every application, we get over 250 responses. It's becoming this cool thing in the Philippines to work for Rockstar. Yeah, I think that's why we've been able to grow, is because those types of elements combined with the fact that it's just a fast-growing trend.
You talk about creating freedom through profitability. That's a big deal. Why, going back to what we're saying, most practitioners, they don't have money on the forefront. They are, very careless at times with their time and with their money. This is a gap that we want to fix, especially for the folks that have the big audience and the big presence, and they need to grow and scale. Talk to us about your method of that, creating freedom through profitability through your service.
Every person, when we first talk to them, it's about analyzing what they need. And sometimes they don't see what they need. Most of our clients are just kind of calling to find out about virtual assistants because they're starting to hear about it from everybody. But the bigger movement behind that is what you just described. I have a school group called Free You Up, where people can come and we talk about the mindset of change. We talk about books that really shift that mindset, Buy Back Your Time, which, by the way, I'd be happy to purchase a copy of that book for any of your listeners. If you want to, yeah, of course. If you guys want a copy, let me know. I'll send you a copy. It's not me. It's not going
to be you. So we'll put it in the show notes. We'll put it in the show notes. Well, you're awesome.
When it comes to profitability, it starts with our teams and our time. When we look at this concept of time as an exchange and recognizing that the experience of time changes as we are spent doing the things that we do. So for example, if I'm very passionate about something like on your show, I just looked up right now, I can't believe we've already been on the show for 30 minutes.
I know. It's like we're in space.
That's the place we want to constantly live in. For many of us, we get there at times, but there's these big chunks of things that we just don't want to do. When we're in that space where we're finding ourselves being dragged down or slowed down, that is when we should think to ourselves, who can take this from me? We're almost conditioned by our parents to think that, yeah, you have to just do the sucky stuff to deal with the good stuff. No, that's so silly. Those are the things that are preventing us from being maximally profitable. So whatever it is that we're doing, what are the first 3 things that come to mind? What is it that you do that you hate doing?
I'm not even thinking about work. I'm thinking about laundry. I had to outsource. It was a source of anxiety and stress, seeing clothes piled up, not things color coordinated or arranged by color and season. I know I sound extremely bougie right now, but there's a point to this. So the money that I make while she's doing all of that folding and laundering and whatever, I 10x the amount that I pay her.
You just perfectly encapsulated the answer I was trying to give you, which is this idea of like, how do I help people maximize their profitability through this thing called delegation? And you just hit it so hard on the head, because when I ask that question, most people don't think of business things. They think of laundry. They think of dishes. They think of meal prepping, because those are the things that we absolutely have to do all the time. And so this idea of like, I could never give that to somebody else is such a scarcity mindset. We think we're being charitable by thinking, I don't want to give my crap to somebody else to deal with. Well, that's the weirdest thing that we learn in that book, Who Not How, is that there's nothing that we can't hate that somebody else won't love. If there's something we hate doing, there's somebody else who actually loves and would want more of that.
We absolutely need everybody to do all the different things to keep the world functioning. So hand off the laundry, sis.
Network is your net worth again. Like, this is that concept of like building who's to do everything that we don't want to do. That starts with us taking boundaries as healers to recognize that it starts by putting that oxygen mask on, by being clear on what drains us. The VA solution is, I think the reason I love it so much is because it's such an easy thing for me to do with my experience to help my clients clients get those things resolved. But it's a bigger concept than that. The VA thing is very small relative to this concept of like profitability unlocks possibility. When we are willing to take a stand for the things that we love, then we are able to let go of those things that we don't, which are things that other people love. And then with all that shared growth, we're happier, we have more time and freedom, and then we start to think in that new space of what's possible. And I promise everyone who's listening, what's possible is so much more than we could ever imagine at this current state. I never dreamed about living in Europe for 6 months with my kids. I was a PT that was wanting to walk away from his practice 10 years before that. I think we're almost doing a disservice to the people who love us by holding on to the things that don't serve us.
That don't serve us. Low value tasks. There are things where we absolutely can be more profitable doing something else.
Yeah.
When I handed off my email, good Lord, it's like the sun was shining a little brighter. When I handed off captions on Instagram, because I was always the bottleneck to me being consistent on social media. And I did not believe that somebody else could write like me or do my captions. Just having the power to delegate and know how to delegate. A lot of people are scared to delegate. How do you coach people up? Because the pain point exists. Do you push people over the edge? Do you coach them up? Like, what do you say? Just, I'm here when you're ready.
Man, you were such a good interviewer. So this is
Let me mark that.
Yeah, because here's the thing, audience. Many of you are listening to this going, yeah, but I don't have the confidence in that. Here's the truth. None of us, especially in the healthcare space, have ever been trained on how to oversee people. The way it works from an MD down to an RN, for example, like that's not the same relationship as when you're building a team, when you're recruiting and retaining talent. Here is the number one secret to effective delegation. And this is going to sound a little cliche, but this is absolutely the truth. Read about it in Brandon Smart's book, Top Grading, or anything else. When you start with the best people, everything else becomes exponentially easier.
That's a fact.
So when you start with better people, it requires less systemization. It requires less organization. This is a true example of this. We have gotten very good at hiring. And so not just for our clients, but for ourselves. So a year ago, I recognized that I loved doing marketing, but I recognized that someone else would probably do it better. And where I'm really getting a lot of energy is in a different space. We decided, let's find that who, and we went through that process. That process we've never been trained on. This is why I love doing what I do, because I do this for my clients. I go out there and I source the candidates based on these in-depth interviews with our clients and what they need and what they really need. Then we go find their best person. It's almost like a matchmaking service. It feels very similar to like bringing people who are looking for love. You're connecting it in that way. And so we went to the marketing world and I found Abby, and Abby joined the team at one of the craziest growth spikes in my business. And so normally I would be with her and do all the things and hand her off. I literally, like on her first day, I would never do this normally. Abby, I don't have time. I know you're the right fit. Can I just give you lots of space and trust? And can I just give you all the logins that you want? And like, you just figure it out for me. This is an extreme example, but just to kind of paint that picture of like, how do you help people? Because I started with the right person, she didn't need oversight at all. And most people aren't like that. Even most rock stars need better oversight than that. And I am pulling that back in. She took over my website SEO. She started developing email campaigns. You would jump on my calendar like, hey, you've got no time, so I just need you to approve these things. And she created her own stats. She reported them to me every week. Hey, well, we got 10 referrals last week based off of these efforts. I think you should keep pushing money on this. Do you approve? So if you have the right person, you don't need as much to be successful. And then when you add those things later, then you free them up to really change the world for you.
If you found this clip from the Power Moves Health Marketing Podcast to be helpful, then check out the next video or watch the full episode here. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you don't miss the next big move in health marketing. Thanks for watching.